This is Gerald Theo van Was. In this video I will try to be brief and explain how the word nail is built up of letters that make up the meaning of the word, which you can recognize in its positions and how the balance is there, and also in the way how forms are forming from their positions. And this is all based upon things that you can read also in sounding form. It is still more in development and more becoming more practical in these videos, so it is also recommended that you now and then, when you're interested in this theory, check also these videos out. And the background to orientate ourselves upon the letters where they are in our system of balanced sensing of how the letters are behaving is based upon a kind of numerical balance. And basically we try to have stable elements as quickly as possible with a stabilized focus, but of course reality is different, and sometimes you have to see how things change, how they evolve and so on. And that's the aspect of timing, and that's also one of the regions where certain letters direct you in that direction. And of course you also have some context making letters. And the basic theory as one of the foundations that you can use to realize what is going on is the formation process, which was mostly about sound in form, but also the orientations themselves in space are built up as building blocks, and they are references to a certain region, a limited region. Like the A from nail is that limited region which is about the focus on space, the stable point in space that we have and that we need to orientate ourselves. And on the other hand is about timing, so there is timing involved. And E is something like, okay, we have an insertion here somewhere, we will add the extra meaningfulness there at some point. And that's already something. So the E is already, when I put the order here, the E is already a bit off here. It doesn't fit so well that you can say, okay, I have the same sizes of every letter. I have N and I have A. Yeah, where shall I put the E? It's a bit a choice. It's somewhere in between these two E's, I would say, to make it readable so that you can recognize what's going on there. Basically, I have all the letters here, so the N, the A, and the L, and the E. Yeah, there is somewhat a choice. Where shall I have it? I keep the three focuses of that contextual thing there. That's the way how to look at it. So the A is always one focus. It's there, that point. L is there as well, but the N is then also like, oh, now we need 2 points, beginning and ending, before and after. And E is more like, okay, where shall I put it? And that's what I have here already. So these are some focuses already, some elements, some building blocks that you can already realize, okay, these are participating in my orientation upon the nail. So the E, I will put then there, just in the right order, there in the E. So I have then the N, the A, the E, and the L from nail. The L is in the second row of the category of space, so it is a bit smaller, and that means also that it's not immediately a point in space that is steady. There are some changes that you can see. Changes are physical, not in timing, but mostly result of timing. So that it is also in that way in the green zone. It is involved in timing. You will know that there are three zones: the stable, the space, the changing time, and of course the context. So now what do we have? We have already the letters of N. N is about a choice that you are going to make. The A is about the focus, the central focus. The I is that insertion somewhere, and then the L is that form, actually, because this is all about forms in space, that you see that in the form there is a change happening in the form, and that is clear, that is clear enough, and that's what the result will give you at the end. So there will be some change there. And so let's also add a few arrows there as well. So this change will be visible in L, a change that is actually making a difference, that the change is different in size also, so a little bit like that. And in size or in height differences will be noticed a change, because they also have a geometrical theory behind it. You have the horizontal, vertical, diagonal, 1, 2, 3 points of reference, 1, 2, 3 focuses. There's an order, a balanced order there, and where is the L? And you need the 2 focuses in the vertical, means you see a height difference in the form in space. That will be noticed in L, and that will be noticed in the end. Of course, underneath is also a direction. These directions are less important in space, because space is a stable space, so there is that horizontal frame, so it is like a working platform. The arrows are less important in the first category, but okay, they can be useful if you say, okay, I add timing, I add a change, and you know where to add the change. It's that working platform, that's the A. So that you will use, and we will use as a fundament, working platform first. The N, of course, that was the first letter for nail. The N is in that doubling focus of timing, with the beginning and end, before and after. Even yes and no. It is shall I do that or shall I not do that? That starting points will be of N will be noticed in these 2 differences of choice. It's also like shall I perform or shall I not perform, like the N. There is in the timing you have that choice, you have that free choice. You don't have to go to the timing. It will not go now. It will maybe some other time. That's all about timing. In this timing, nothing is there all the time. Sometimes it's there now, and sometimes it's there tomorrow or some other time. That's typical for it. So there is a choice of yes and no. The N is that realization that we have a starting point that is there or is not there. And that actually fits well with my choice that I will also make upon the nail. The choice of shall I do the change, shall I make a change with it, and so on. Shall I perform with it, shall I do something with it, or whatever. It's not fixed, the nail is not fixed, but the focus will go further upon that object that has a platform in which it fits and which you concentrate upon it. And of course, the N will make a whole time schedule. This time schedule will say, okay, I have after the platform, I will have a moment where I will insert, in this case, my vision, that I will use it with a hammer in that way. It's just an example what you can do with it. And then when you have that activity in the time schedule centralized and inserted with that activity, you will also notice it will make a change, it will make a visible difference in the form. So that's how the nail is used. It's just an example, but the order of letters, the concentration on letters, what you can do with it, it always fits. It always fits in the way that you have an order of a balance, and this balanced order demands you that you first have this timing, then the platform, then the insertion, and then the form, which in the end can have a change. But I can also focus upon the form itself. How is the form changed? And that was basically my first foundation of the theory, is to find a way how to make visible that every word with its letters makes a formation process, shows its formation process, like a fractal actually. It shows itself how it is formed. This is the orientation in space. What is happening? What do we need? What kind of building blocks do we need? It doesn't say much about the form, but that same thing is happening in the form as well. So let's do that, and let's go to the same schedule and interpret it from the idea of forms. So you have the N is in the second schedule. The second schedule is about timing, so I will choose a timing. I will start a timing. I start it with D in the starting point, with N in what is changing, in the changes and in the form. So I start to take out a form. At the same time, we have the two focuses of timing. So the two focuses, I have one emphasis on the two focuses, which means I also take out something in a timing. At some moment, I take something out. That's what the N is doing. That's the content of the orientation of N and the form as well. So the N will take out a form somewhere. That takes out a form out of a context or out of I mean, it's an emphasis on I will take out a form so that I can realize what I'm going to do with it, or how does it look like, or whatever. The A as a next point after N, that I take something out vertically, because that was about the vertical. In one point I take something out in the timing. I take something out in the timing. I come to that platform. The A is that platform. So I use that upon a platform on a horizontal plane. With the L and the E, the L is form making. It's about, I see that there is a form forming. I can realize the differences. I can see the difference. There's really a form making. And upon the E it's not just, it's an insertion in somewhere, or it is meant to insert somewhere, or it is inserted somewhere in a form. That's all the things that you can derive from it. At the same time, the E is while A is very small, the E is actually very high, it's long. These things matter as well, and they play along in that balance as well, that you start from a point small and the E is the largest and the highest form as well, and that fits also with the nail in that way. And all these things, they matter, that they influence the idea of how the form should fit and how this form can fit. And though there is a certain length vertically, that makes it fit with the nail. Okay, so here I have a nail upside down, and it is as if I'm going to take a nail out, or this is just the form of a nail straight up. It can of course be the other way as well. It can be put in as well. That's what this N is, this choice. Shall I take it out? Shall I take a go in? That's what the N does. The N is in with the E combined, inserted somewhere, or coming out of it while it had been in it. That something is coming out. And that coming out of something with the E of a form makes it fit also very well in that different direction with the fingernail, where something also is coming out as a form, and so on. Can you understand how this balance is working? How this balance is used? How this balance it will not make it easy. It will not be easy to learn it gradually and to see that also, how does the form work, how does these things work. There's really some preparations and practice that you need before you can see these. For me, it goes now automatically and very quickly. I don't have to think about it. It goes very straight, and I can choose any word of that it comes pops in my mind, and see what's happening there. Of course, I use words that I know already. I could do the other thing the other way around. That's why I worked upon the book. Words that I didn't know where to land to, but it's quite easy also to learn these things, that you just take words that you know and see, like, yeah, but what does these letter combinations actually say in this word? How can they be used, and so on? And they are useful, and they have this balance in them. Why it works, different story, but it does work, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks again for watching. Bye.